Alright, Sickids teens, and welcome to the first part of my top 20 favorite Pokemon video series. I personally, like a lot of you viewing right now, I'm sure, feel that the Pokemon series as a whole has been a huge part of my childhood and even influenced me into some things today. This sparked my interest into making a top 10 favorite Pokemon video. The only problem is that there are too many of them for me to even condense down into such a small list. So this made me decide to make a two-part video series of my top 20 favorite Pokemon because I just feel bad about leaving people out and Pokemon out. Even creating a list double the size was a huge strain for me to shorten. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the first part of my video, my top 20 to 11 favorite Pokemon. Now before I start, I feel that I should leave these honorable mentions here. I was being torn apart taking these guys off the list and would feel terrible if they weren't in this video in any way, shape, or form. I feel like I should take this time before the actual list starts to mention that this is a list of my personal favorite Pokemon. If you guys disagree, that is completely cool by me, as you have the right to your own personal opinions. If you guys want to personally share your top 20 to 11 favorite Pokemon, yeesh, that's a mouthful. Please do so in the comments below. Also, though I do realize I mention it a lot, this is not a competitive battling list, so if you're looking for some interesting Pokemon to use in battle, I'd suggest clicking away from this video. Well, I feel that these honorable mentions have been up here long enough. Enjoying them yet? That's all of them. Taking them away now. On to the actual numbers. Okay. The one who made it on here by just a thread is Galvanchola. I thought long and hard as to why he needed to be on my list so badly. At first, I had no idea why. All I knew was that there was no way that I was omitting him. After thinking, I realized that Gen 5 was the generation that got me hooked back into Pokemon. Galvanchola was used on my first playthrough, and mine trucked through all opponents. I also really like his design and unique electric bug typing. I mean, look at him. He's a spider. With eyes. And he zip-zoops. Yeah. Manectric was the first home Pokemon that really caught my eye. Electrike, a menacing electric canine that would later evolve and go Super Saiyan into his Manectric counterpart? Yes please! The first time I went up against Watson was no bueno for me. The old man just stood there laughing at me as his Manectric just plowed through my sad little team of weaklings. Couldn't do anything. I got crushed. Even in my Nuzlocke video, it wasn't even fair for me. But the fear I had towards this guy when I first started battling in Gen 6 was unbearable as well. I didn't know common movesets at the time, and got wrecked because of Flamethrower. Mega Scizor didn't even have a chance. And though the design is questionable, Mega Manectric is a pretty solid Pokemon as well. I'm gonna be blunt here. I absolutely hated Gen 4. To many, it was the revival of Pokemon. I mean, some Pokemon designs were pretty cool, I guess, but I truly felt the main game had terrible pacing and felt slow. One of my only excitements was to get my hands on a Chacha as soon as possible. See, I really like birds, especially parrots, and I thought Chacha was the cutest darn thing I've ever seen. He was even my first shiny in my Y version, and I must say, it's one of my favorite shiny designs yet. And as far as competitive goes, well, who's gonna argue about that Boomburst dough? Sceptile. What? A starter? Yes, and a grass one at that. I'm not one for the grass types. I mean, in the anime, Ash's Bulbasaur was actually pretty badass. But let's be honest here, what 4-year-old boy from the 90s would choose Bulbasaur over a dragon or a tortoise with dual cannons on his back? I think the one reason why I like Sceptile is that it reminds me of my trips to Hawaii when I was a kid, where I'd spend the whole day just hunting geckos. That, and I feel that Blaziken was overhyped when I was little. My one true hope though is that I hope Mega Sceptile will be super cool in competitive battling. I mean, there's a slim chance, right? Please? Sharpedo. Dang, a quarter of the way through it and we already have our 3rd generation 3 Pokemon? There isn't any complicated reasoning for me to like Sharpedo. He's a deadly shark whose amazing ability, Speed Boost, is not to be taken lightly in battle. It seems like an interesting strategy to get a few Speed Boosts off, then follow up with a strong jaw. I don't know. I mean, it could work out. At the same time, you never know. I mean, all he has is Crunch, really. That or you could just use his normal ability. You know, the rough skin. Roughing it up, are ya, matey? Seadra was a favorite for me in Gen 1. Once he got an evolution in Johto, Game Freak made him look even cooler and more deadly. And to add on top of that, made Kingdra a dragon type? I remember begrudgingly fighting Claire with no electric types as a child, only to dream of owning a Kingdra of my very own. Another contender on my list was Gulch. I decided to either have him or Kingdra on here. My reasoning was that Kingdra actually puts up a fight as opposed to Gulch in competitive battle. Though I know this list isn't based off of competitive battling, it's my personal tastes. I personally still dabble in competitive, and thus some of the decisions made will be dependent on that. This is why I chose Kingdra over Gulch. Scizor, Scizor, however you want to call him, is an interesting one. Adding to my weird bird and bug obsession, he is also a monster during battling. The sleek red look is beautiful, and he was the first Pokemon I ever EV trained. I got into competitive battling, as stated earlier, in Generation 6, even though I only cared about EVs and natures. So looking back, he isn't super good, but spending hours finding an adamant Scizor turned to be rather rewarding for me. Oh, the battles with Slim Snippy would never be forgot, especially ones like these. Talking with Rupert like, oh god, Flamethrower's gonna, we lost, Big Scizor's done. 1 HP! 1 HP! That light screen saved my ass! Probably one of the most hyped Pokemon in X and Y, Brew Ninja lands the number 13 spot. So hyped, in fact, that he landed a spot in the new Smash Bros. Title. I mean, no one was expecting that tongue scarf ninja. I mean, we know it would be a ninja, but the tongue? Nonetheless, it's a really cool design with a badass shiny variant. Added on top of all that, having a stab on anything with Protean makes this a really well fleshed out and powerful Pokemon. Spritzee. I bet you guys weren't expecting that one, eh? Mixing in my obsession with birds, I also have a weird fondness for plague doctors, due to both Assassin's Creed and the tabletop game Radis. By the way, you should definitely check that game out. Spritzee is a very intriguing and adorable Pokemon to me. The thoughts of having a possible plague doctor designed evolution pre-Generation 6 release excited many, myself included. And she would have been higher on my list if it weren't for this. Yeah, this. Ugh. Jokes aside, I still think Aromatisse the Plague Queen is pretty solid stat-wise at least. That's the Spritzees, ladies and gentlemen. The last Pokemon for this video and the number 11 spot goes to Archaeopteryx. 4 birds were my interest. I was a huge dinosaur fan. I could recite so many names, it wasn't even funny. Now not so much. But I remember finding a book in grade 2 discussing the transition between birds and dinosaurs. Looking back, I misinterpreted it completely and thought Archaeopteryx were still living in modern times. I'm still laughing that I actually thought that, to be honest. I was funny and cute, so no one corrected me at first. Still, it's because of the Archaeopteryx that I started to like the modern day dinos. Birds. This is why I like Archaeopteryx so much. He reminds me more of my childhood than anything else. Archaeopteryx is cool, besides the fetus. Design is beautiful, and if you disagree, you're bad and you should feel bad. Alright, jokes aside, thank you guys all so much for watching. If you could, please leave a rating so I know whether or not I should be making more videos around this caliber or like similar to this at all. The top 10 part of this video will be up next week if you guys are watching this video time. If you're watching it at a later date, I will leave an annotation right here, right where my ducklet is if you guys want to watch it. And if you are the mobile user, I will leave a link down in the description for you guys to click. Anyways, my name's Geeteens. I hope you guys liked the video, and I also wish you guys a good and wonderful day. Ugh.